I'm John Hinkle, the senior pastor of First Presbyterian Church. This is your Saturday morning preview of Sunday morning sermon. I'm kind of just finished writing this sermon, and I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to be good, but I kind of just like where the Holy Spirit took it for me. So let's talk about this Sunday. It's the first Sunday of the month of the new year. That's significant for really two reasons. This year's significance, well, first of all, there's communion being served, right? We always serve communion in the traditional formal way in both services on that first Sunday of the month. So that's one. Number two, just so happens the way the liturgical calendar works is this is also the Sunday that we will celebrate the baptism of the Lord. And it really kind of begins a new cycle in the life of the church. We start the liturgical year with Advent that leads to Christmas. Epiphany, if you wondered, is actually today, this Saturday. And then the first high holy day, if you will, is the baptism of the Lord Sunday, which means we will talk about Jesus' baptism and how it relates to our baptism. But the other thing that you would know if you've been a member of First Presbyterian Church for a while is the baptism of the Lord Sunday is traditionally when we ordain and install new ruling elders into the life of our session. All that being said, if you can't figure it out, we've got a lot going on this Sunday, especially in the 11 o'clock service. So you'll hear part of my thinking as I move forward in the sermon, but this may not be the longest sermon in the world. We'll get into that in the sermon, but just throw that out there. But we are going to talk about the baptism of the Lord, and we're using as our text the Gospel of Mark. Mark is fascinating for me. So we have what we call the Synoptic Gospels. That's Matthew, Luke, and Mark. And then we have the Gospel of John. And the Gospel of John is its own thing, right? John kind of marches to the beat of a different drummer. But Mark and Matthew and Luke are very similar in how they tell the story of Jesus' ministry. However, Matthew and Luke begin their gospel with the birth narrative. So if you look at the Gospel of Matthew and Luke and you open it up, start in chapter 1, they're talking about Jesus coming into this world, being born into this world. Even the Gospel of John, in his very poetic way, starts with the birth of Jesus, but not Mark. Mark's different. Mark starts his gospel with the baptism. It is as if Mark is saying to us, if you want to know who Jesus is, if you want to know what Jesus is about, if you want to know where Jesus is going, you have to start with his baptism. So we begin our sermon with that understanding that Jesus' baptism is significant for all of us, for many reasons. So that's what we're going to focus on. Why is Jesus' baptism so important, not only in who Jesus is, but why is Jesus' baptism so important in understanding our own baptism? So that's where we're going this Sunday. We're going to talk about the baptism of the Lord, and we're going to talk about our own baptism as we celebrate not only communion, but ordaining and installing new elders into the life of our session. So I look forward to being with you. I hope you had a great new year, and I'm just throwing it out there. I know this may sound strange as a minister. I'm excited about 2024. And what God is going to have in store for the life of First Presbyterian Church, and just as important, what God has in store for you. Hope to see you this Sunday, and can't wait to proclaim the gospel.